The great hall of the starship Eternal Dawn was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Tall, insect-like creatures stood next to short, furry ones. Blue-skinned diplomats talked with beings made of living crystal. It was the most important gathering in the known universe, and Kang Tae-ho was about to walk into it as Earth's new representative. Tae-ho took a deep breath and stepped through the golden doors. He was a simple man from a small town in Korea. 3 years ago, he had been working at a wildlife sanctuary, helping injured wolves and bears heal from their wounds. Now he wore a formal suit and carried the hopes of 8 billion humans on his shoulders. The old representative, a kind woman named Director Pak, had retired last month. She had chosen Tae-ho herself. "You have something special," she had told him. "You understand creatures, and these aliens, for all their technology, are still just creatures trying to survive." The hall fell quiet as Tae-ho entered. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to look at him. Some were curious, some were friendly, but one pair of eyes looked at him with open disgust. Princess Velaria of the Scythran Empire stood at the center of the hall. She was tall and beautiful in a cold way, like a statue carved from ice. Her skin was pale purple, and her silver hair fell past her shoulders like a waterfall. She wore armor made of black metal, and a thin crown sat on her head. Her people were warriors. They had conquered 100 worlds. They believed that strength was the only thing that mattered. "So this is the new human," she said loudly. Her voice echoed through the hall. "I expected something more impressive." Tae-ho bowed politely. "Princess Velaria, it is an honor to meet you." She laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "Honor? What does a human know about honor?" She walked toward him slowly, her boots clicking on the metal floor. "Your species is barely 1,000 years old in space travel. You have no great warriors, no legendary conquests. You are soft, weak, and fragile." The other aliens watched in uncomfortable silence. A few looked sorry for Tae-ho, others seemed to agree with the princess. "Your people sit at the high table of the Galactic Council," Velaria continued, "but you have done nothing to earn that seat. You were given it as charity because the older races felt sorry for you." Tae-ho kept his face calm. "We are grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow alongside our galactic neighbors." "Grateful." She spat the word like it tasted bad. "That is exactly the problem. A true warrior species would demand respect, not beg for scraps." She turned to address the whole room. "I say that humans are unworthy of their council seat. They have not proven themselves." An old alien with gray skin and kind eyes spoke up. "Princess, the humans have been peaceful members of the council for 50 years. They have helped many worlds." "Helped?" Velaria laughed again. "They send doctors and teachers. They build hospitals and schools. Where are their battleships? Where are their conquered enemies? Peace is what the weak call their failure to fight." Tae-ho felt anger rising in his chest, but he pushed it down. He had worked with frightened animals his whole life. He knew that aggression usually came from fear or pain. This princess, for all her cruel words, was following the only path her people had ever taught her. "If you believe humans are unworthy," he said quietly, "then give us a chance to prove otherwise." Velaria's eyes widened slightly. She had expected him to apologize or back down. Instead, he was standing firm. A small smile crossed her face. "Very well, human. I challenge you to the trial of Karash." Gasps filled the hall. Even aliens who did not know the trial could tell from others' reactions that it was something terrible. Commander Roktan, the princess's guard captain, stepped forward. He was massive, with dark red skin and 4 arms. "Princess, perhaps this is too extreme. The human does not know what he is agreeing to." "Then let me explain," Velaria said sweetly. "The trial of Korash is an ancient Scythran test of worth. The challenger must face the Alpha Fenrock, a beast from the death world Korash 7th. It is the most dangerous predator in 3 galaxies. It stands taller than 2 men. Its claws can cut through starship metal. Its teeth can crush bones to dust. She paused, enjoying the fear on the faces around her. The challenger must make the Alpha Fenrock yield. Not kill it. Make it submit. Show dominance over the unconquerable. And if I refuse? Tejo asked. Then humanity admits it is unworthy. You lose your council seat. Your voice in galactic affairs becomes nothing. And if I fail? Velaria smiled coldly. No one has made the Alpha Fenrock yield in 400 years. 17 challengers have tried. All 17 are dead. If you fail, human, you will be the 18th, and Earth will still lose its seat. The room was completely silent. Tejo could feel everyone watching him. He thought about his home, his family, his planet. 8 billion people who were counting on him. He also thought about the beast. 400 years of challengers, 17 dead warriors. What kind of life had this creature lived? How much pain had it suffered? I accept, he said. Velaria blinked. She had not expected him to agree so easily. You understand that you will likely die? I understand. And you accept anyway? Why? Pride? Stupidity? Tejo shook his head. Neither. I accept because every creature deserves a chance to be understood. Even the ones others call monsters. The princess stared at him for a long moment. Something flickered in her eyes, too fast to read. Then she laughed loudly. You are even more foolish than I thought. The trial will be held tomorrow. Try not to die too quickly, human. I want the galaxy to see your failure. She turned and walked away, her guards following. Commander Roktan lingered for a moment. He leaned close to Tejo and spoke in a low voice. The Fenrock has killed warriors twice your size. Warriors with weapons and armor and years of training. You have none of these things. I have something else, Tejo said. What? Patience. Roktan studied him with unreadable eyes. Then he nodded slowly and walked away. Later that night, Tejo stood outside the containment deck, looking at the door that led to the Fenrock's cage. A guard told him he was not allowed inside. I don't want to go inside, Tejo said. I just want to see the creature, to understand it before tomorrow. The guard looked confused. Understand it? It is a beast. There is nothing to understand. Tejo smiled sadly. That is where you are wrong. Every animal has a story. Every creature has a reason for what it does. Tomorrow, everyone will watch me face a monster, but tonight, I want to meet the animal underneath. The guard shook his head, but let him look through the small window in the door. Inside, in a cage far too small for its body, the Alpha Fenrock paced back and forth. It was enormous and terrifying, with black fur and golden eyes full of rage. But Tejo did not see a monster. He saw the scars covering its body. He saw the way it flinched at sudden sounds. He saw the repetitive pacing of a creature that had been locked in a cage for far too long. He saw suffering. Hello, he whispered through the glass. I know you cannot hear me, but I want you to know something. Tomorrow, I am not coming to fight you. I am coming to understand you. The Fenrock did not react. It just kept pacing, back and forth, trapped in its endless prison. Tejo watched until the lights dimmed for the night cycle. Then he made a request that would shock everyone on the ship. I want to spend the night outside its cage, alone, unarmed. The guard thought he was joking, but Tejo was completely serious. And that night would change everything. The containment deck was deep in the belly of the eternal dawn, far from the beautiful halls where diplomats gathered. Here, the walls were bare metal. The air smelled of chemicals and something else, something wild and dangerous. This was where the Sithrans kept their most prized possession, the creature they called the Unconquerable. Tae-Ho walked down the long corridor with Commander Rok-Tan beside him. The big alien had insisted on escorting him personally. "I want to see what kind of fool walks willingly toward his death," Rok-Tan had said. But his voice was not cruel. It was curious. They passed through 3 security doors, each one heavier than the last. Finally, they entered a large room with a cage in the center, and inside the cage was the Alpha Fenrock. Tae-Ho had seen the creature through the small window last night. But now, in full light, it was even more impressive. The beast was massive, standing nearly 3 meters at the shoulder. Its fur was black as space itself, and its eyes burned like 2 golden suns. Muscles rippled under its skin as it paced. Its claws, each one as long as a man's hand, clicked against the metal floor. But the cage was wrong. It was far too small. The Fenrock could barely turn around without hitting the walls. The ceiling was so low that its ears brushed against it. There was no grass, no earth, no sky, just cold metal and harsh lights. "Magnificent, is it not?" a voice said. Princess Velaria stepped out from the shadows. She had been waiting for him. Of course she had. She wanted to see his fear. "It is suffering," Tae-Ho said quietly. Velaria's smile faded. "What did you say?" "Look at it. The cage is too small. There is no enrichment, nothing for it to do. It paces because its mind is breaking." Tae-Ho moved closer to the cage. The Fenrock stopped pacing and stared at him with hate-filled eyes. "How long has it been in here?" "That is not your concern." "How long?" Commander Rok-Tan answered when the princess did not. 200 years. It was captured as a young pup after its pack was eliminated. 200 years. Tae-Ho felt his heart hurt. 200 years in a cage barely large enough to hold it. 200 years of warriors coming to fight it, hurt it, try to break it. 200 years of pain and loneliness and rage. "You killed its family," Tae-Ho said. "You put it in a cage, and then you wonder why it will not submit." "It is a beast," Velaria said coldly. "Beasts do not have families. They do not have feelings. They only understand strength and pain." "That is not true." "Then you are a fool." She walked around the cage, and the Fenrock tracked her with its eyes, growling low in its throat. "This creature has been fought by the greatest warriors in the Sithran Empire. My own father faced it when he was young. He bears the scars proudly. Breaking it is an honor. Breaking it is cruelty." Velaria spun to face him, anger flashing in her eyes. "You dare lecture me? You, a human? Your species has only known space travel for a moment. My people have ruled the stars for 10,000 years. We know how to handle beasts." "Do you?" Tae-Ho pointed at the Fenrock. "Look at those scars. They are not from the wild. They are from weapons. Burns, cuts, wounds that never healed properly. You did not capture a monster. You made one." The princess was silent. Rok-Tan shifted uncomfortably. "The Fenrock is not unconquerable because it is strong," Tae-Ho continued. "It is unconquerable because it has been hurt so badly that it trusts nothing and no one. Every warrior who enters its cage is just another source of pain. Of course it fights. Fighting is all it has left." "You think you know better?" Velaria stepped close to him, her face just inches from his. "You think your soft human ways can tame what Sithran steel could not? I do not want to tame it. I want to help it." She laughed, sharp and mocking. "Help it? This creature would tear you apart in seconds. It has killed 17 warriors, human. 17! Some of them were my friends. Do not speak to me of helping. Did any of them try kindness?" The question hung in the air. Velaria opened her mouth to respond, then closed it. Behind her, Rok-Tan was watching Tae-Ho with new interest. "Kindness," the the princess finally said. You think kindness will save you in that arena? You think soft words will stop those claws? I think that creature has never known a gentle touch in its entire life. I think it has been beaten and stabbed and burned for 2 centuries. I think it has forgotten that anything exists except pain. Tae-ho looked at the Fenrock, and for a moment its golden eyes met his. I want to remind it. Velaria shook her head in disbelief. You are insane. Perhaps. You will die tomorrow. Perhaps. And your planet will lose its council seat. Perhaps. Tae-ho turned to face her fully. But I would rather die trying to help a suffering creature than win by causing more pain. That is what it means to be human. The princess stared at him for a long time. Something moved behind her eyes, something she quickly buried. Then she turned and walked toward the door. Waste your final night however you wish, human. I will enjoy watching you fail. She left. Roktan remained. You truly believe what you said? The commander asked. I do. The princess is not evil, you know. She was raised to believe that strength is everything. Her father was harsh. Her training was brutal. She does not know any other way. Tae-ho nodded slowly. Then perhaps she needs to learn, just like this creature does. He turned back to the cage. The Fenrock was watching him, its ears flat against its head, its teeth slightly bared. It did not trust him. Why would it? Everything in its life had taught it that trust led to pain. I am going to sit here tonight, Tae-ho said to Roktan. Outside the cage. I will not try to enter. I will not make any sudden moves. I just want to be near it. That is dangerous. It could reach through the bars. Then I will sit just out of reach. Roktan was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed. I will inform the guards not to disturb you, but I think you are wasting your time. Time spent trying to help is never wasted. The commander left, and Tae-ho was alone with the beast. He sat down on the cold floor just far enough from the cage that the Fenrock could not reach him. Then he simply waited. He did not speak. He did not move. He just sat there, breathing slowly, making himself as small and unthreatening as possible. The Fenrock watched him with suspicion. It growled. It paced. It slammed its body against the bars, trying to frighten him away. Tae-ho did not move. Hours passed. The lights dimmed as the ship entered its night cycle. Still, Tae-ho sat. His legs ached. His back hurt. But he did not move. Slowly, so slowly that it was almost impossible to notice, the Fenrock's growling stopped. Its pacing slowed. It lay down on the far side of its cage, its golden eyes still fixed on Tae-ho. But the rage in them had faded slightly. It was not trust, not yet. But it was the first step. In her private quarters, Princess Velaria watched through the security cameras. She did not understand what she was seeing. The human was doing nothing, just sitting there. It made no sense. But for some reason, she could not look away. And deep in her heart, a question she had never asked before began to form. What if everything she believed was wrong? The night was long and cold on the containment deck. The ship's systems kept the temperature low to save energy, and Tae-ho had nothing but his thin formal clothes. His body shivered, but he did not leave. He had made a promise to himself, and he would keep it. The Fenrock lay on the far side of its cage, watching him. It had stopped growling hours ago. Now it simply stared, those golden eyes never blinking, studying this strange creature that refused to attack or run away. Tae-ho understood. In the beast's entire life, every living thing had either tried to hurt it or fled from it. Tae-ho was doing neither. He was just existing nearby, asking for nothing, threatening nothing. For the Fenrock, this was completely new. Around midnight, Tae-ho began to hum. It was a simple tune, an old Korean lullaby that his grandmother had sung to him when he was a child. The melody was soft and gentle, rising and falling like waves on a quiet shore. He did not sing the words, just the tune, letting it fill the cold silence of the containment deck. The Fenrock's ears moved. They had been flat against its head for hours, a sign of fear and aggression. But now, slowly, they began to rise. The beast was listening. Tae-ho kept humming. He remembered sitting on his grandmother's lap as a young boy, scared of the thunderstorm outside. She had held him close and sung this same song. "The storm cannot hurt you," she had said, "not while I am here." Now, Tae-ho was trying to be that calm presence for another frightened creature. After the song ended, he began to speak. His voice was soft, barely above a whisper, and he did not look directly at the Fenrock. Direct eye contact was a challenge in the animal world. He kept his gaze on the floor. "I know you cannot understand my words," he said. "But maybe you can understand my voice. I am not here to hurt you. I am not here to fight you. I just want you to know that not everyone in this universe wishes you harm." The Fenrock did not move, but its breathing had slowed. Its body, always tense and ready for battle, had relaxed slightly. "I work with animals on my planet," Tae-ho continued. "Wolves, bears, big cats. Many of them were hurt by humans. They came to our sanctuary afraid and angry, just like you. They bit us. They scratched us. They tried to scare us away. But we did not give up on them." He paused, remembering a particular wolf he had worked with. Her name had been Seol, meaning snow. She had been caught in a trap as a pup and left to die. When she arrived at the sanctuary, she would attack anyone who came near. It took 2 years of patient work before she finally let Tae-ho touch her. "Seol taught me something important," Tae-ho said. "She taught me that trust cannot be forced. It can only be earned, and earning it takes time and patience and kindness. Even when the other creature does not believe you, even when they push you away." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small package. It was his dinner ration, a simple meal of rice and vegetables. He had not eaten it. Instead, he opened the package and placed it on the floor, then slowly pushed it toward the cage with his foot. The food stopped just inside the bars, within reach of the Fenrock. "I do not know if you can eat this," Tae-ho said, "but I wanted to share with you. On my planet, sharing food is a sign of friendship." The Fenrock looked at the food. It sniffed the air. Then it looked back at Tae-ho with those golden eyes. It did not eat, but it also did not growl or attack. Tae-ho smiled slightly. "That is okay. You do not have to take it. I will leave it there for you." He went back to sitting quietly. More hours passed. The cold grew deeper. Tae-ho's eyes grew heavy, but he forced himself to stay awake. Falling asleep now might frighten the Fenrock. Any sudden movement could destroy the fragile peace they were building. Far away, in her private quarters, Princess Velaria watched the security footage. She had told herself she would only watch for a few minutes, then go to sleep. But she could not stop. The human was still sitting there, still doing nothing. And yet, something was changing. She could see it in the way the Fenrock moved. For the first time in 200 years, the beast was calm. "What are you doing?" she whispered at the screen. "What trick is this?" But deep down, she knew it was not a trick. The human was simply being kind, and that kindness was working better than centuries of Sithran violence. It made her angry. It made her confused. It made her feel something she did not want to name. Back in the containment deck, the night was almost over. The lights began to brighten slowly, simulating sunrise. Tae-ho's body ached from sitting so long. His eyes burned from lack of sleep. But he had done what he came to do. Slowly, carefully, he stood up. The Fenrock's eyes followed him, but it did not growl. It did not attack. "I have to go now," Tae-ho said softly. "But I will see you again soon. In the arena. He began to walk toward the door. Behind him he heard a sound. It was not a growl. It was not a roar. It was something softer, almost like a question. A small noise from the back of the throat like a pup calling for its mother. Tejo stopped. He turned around slowly. The Fenrock had moved closer to the front of the cage. It was looking at him, and for the first time, the hatred in its eyes had faded. In its place was something else. Curiosity? Confusion? Perhaps even hope? "I know," Tejo said. "You have been alone for so long. You have forgotten what it feels like to be cared for. But I see you. I see the animal underneath all that pain. And I promise you, I will not hurt you." He walked out of the containment deck. Commander Roktan was waiting outside. "You survived the night," Roktan said. There was surprise in his voice. "I did more than survive. I made a connection. The princess watched your entire vigil. She does not understand what you did." "I did nothing special. I just sat with a lonely creature and let it know it was not alone." Roktan studied him for a long moment. "In the arena today, the Fenrock will be released without chains or barriers. It will be free to kill you. You know this?" "I know." "And you still believe your method will work?" Tejo thought about Seol, the wolf who had learned to trust again. He thought about all the animals he had helped over the years. He thought about the small sound the Fenrock had made when he left. "I believe that kindness is stronger than cruelty," he said. "I believe that love can heal what violence has broken. And I believe that even a creature that has known nothing but pain can learn to hope again." Roktan shook his head slowly. "You are either the wisest being I have ever met, or the most foolish." Tejo smiled. "Perhaps I am both." He walked away to prepare for the trial, leaving Roktan standing alone with his thoughts. In a few hours, the entire galaxy would watch. They would see a small human face, an enormous beast. They would expect blood and death and the end of humanity's place among the stars. But they would get something else entirely. They would get a miracle. The arena was a massive circular chamber in the heart of the eternal dawn. Its walls rose high, lined with seats for thousands of spectators. Today, every seat was filled. Beings from 100 worlds had come to watch. Some had traveled for days just to see this moment. The trial of Korash was famous across the galaxy, and word had spread that a human was about to attempt it. Most had come to watch him die. In the viewing boxes above, the most important figures in the Galactic Council sat in comfortable chairs. Ambassadors, generals, kings, and queens from dozens of species. They talked among themselves in low voices, making bets on how long the human would last. Princess Velaria sat in the largest box, directly facing the arena floor. She wore her finest armor, polished until it gleamed. Her crown sat perfectly on her silver hair. She looked calm and proud, every inch the future empress of the Sithran Empire. But inside, she was confused. She had watched the human all night on the security cameras. She had seen him sit in the cold, shivering but not leaving. She had seen him share his food. She had heard him sing that strange, soft song. And she had seen the Fenrock respond in ways it had never responded before. It made no sense. The beast was a killer. It had murdered 17 warriors. How could a night of sitting and singing change anything? A horn sounded deep and loud. The crowd fell silent. Commander Roktan stepped into the arena. His voice boomed through speakers that carried his words to every corner of the chamber and broadcast them across the galaxy. "Citizens of the Galactic Union, today we witness the trial of Korash. The challenger is Kang Tejo of Earth. He has accepted the challenge issued by Her Royal Highness, Princess Velaria. The terms are simple. The challenger must make the Alpha Fenrock yield. If he succeeds, humanity keeps its seat on the Galactic Council. If he fails, humanity loses that seat forever. The crowd murmured. Many of them thought the terms were unfair. The Fenrock had never yielded to anyone. This was not a trial. It was an execution. The challenger may now enter. A door opened on one side of the arena, and Tae-ho walked out. The crowd gasped. He wore no armor. He carried no weapon. He was dressed in simple white clothes like a man taking a morning walk. He looked small and fragile against the vast, empty space of the arena. "Is he insane?" someone whispered. "He is dead already," another replied. In her viewing box, Velaria leaned forward. What was he doing? Even the weakest challengers had worn armor. Even they had carried spears or shields. This human had nothing. Tae-ho walked to the center of the arena and stopped. He stood there calmly, his hands at his sides, his face peaceful. He did not look afraid. "Release the Fenrock!" Roktan commanded. On the opposite side of the arena, a massive door began to rise. Darkness waited behind it. Then, slowly, the Alpha Fenrock emerged into the light. The beast was even more terrifying in the open. Its black fur seemed to absorb the light. Its golden eyes scanned the arena, finding the thousands of faces staring down at it. It let out a roar that shook the walls and made several spectators cover their ears. Then it saw Tae-ho, the human standing alone in the center, small, weak, defenseless. The Fenrock charged. It happened so fast that most beings could not follow it. One moment, the beast was at the edge of the arena. The next, it was a black blur racing toward the human, its claws extended, its jaws open. This was the moment when challengers died, the moment when they tried to fight or run and failed at both. This was the moment when the Fenrock showed why it was called the Unconquerable. Tae-ho did not run. He knelt down. He lowered his head. He made himself small and submitted completely. The Fenrock skidded to a halt, its claws scraping deep grooves in the metal floor. It stopped just inches from Tae-ho, so close that its hot breath washed over him. Its mouth was open, ready to bite. Its claws were raised, ready to tear. But it did not strike. The arena fell completely silent. No one breathed. No one moved. The Fenrock was confused. Every other challenger had fought or fled. Fighting triggered its battle instincts. Running triggered its hunting instincts. But this creature was doing neither. It was just kneeling there, making itself vulnerable, offering no threat at all. Velaria stood up in her box. "What is he doing?" she demanded. "Why is he not fighting?" No one answered. No one knew. In the center of the arena, Tae-ho slowly raised one hand. His palm was open, facing upward. It was the same gesture he used with frightened animals at the sanctuary. An invitation, a request for trust. "Hello, friend," he said softly. His voice was calm and gentle, the same voice he had used last night. "Remember me? I sat with you. I shared my food with you. I sang to you." The Fenrock's ears moved. It recognized the voice. It recognized the scent. "You do not have to fight anymore," Tae-ho continued. "No one is going to hurt you. I promise." Minutes passed. They felt like hours. The beast circled him slowly, sniffing, watching, trying to understand this creature that did not act like anything it had ever encountered. Velaria's hands gripped the railing of her viewing box. "This is ridiculous," she shouted. "He is supposed to fight. Challenge it. Show dominance." But Tae-ho did not move. He kept his hand raised, his head lowered, his body language as non-threatening as possible. The Fenrock moved closer. Its nose was inches from his hand now. It could smell him clearly. No fear, no aggression, just calm, steady patience. Something stirred in the beast's ancient memory. A time before the cage, before the fights, before the pain. A time when it had been a young pup, safe in its pack, surrounded by warmth and belonging. The Fenrock made a sound, not a roar, Not a growl, that same soft sound from last night, like a question, like a plea. Tejo looked up slowly, meeting the golden eyes with his own brown ones. "I know," he said. "You have been hurt. You have been alone, but you do not have to be alone anymore." The beast's great head lowered, lower and lower, until its forehead touched Tejo's open palm. The arena erupted. Beings jumped to their feet, shouting, screaming, unable to believe what they were seeing. The unconquerable beast, the killer of 17 warriors, had just shown submission to a small human with no weapons and no armor. But Tejo knew it was not submission. Not really. The Fenrock was not bowing to a conqueror. It was accepting a friend. There was a difference, a huge difference. Velaria stood frozen in her viewing box. Her mind could not process what her eyes were showing her. This was impossible. This broke every rule she had ever been taught about strength and power and dominance. And yet, it had happened. The human had won, not through violence, not through fear, but through something she had been told was worthless. Kindness. The word echoed in her mind, and for the first time in her life, Princess Velaria did not know what to believe. The roar of the crowd filled the arena like thunder. Thousands of beings were on their feet, shouting, pointing, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Some were celebrating, others were angry, most were simply stunned. In the center of the arena, Tejo knelt beside the great beast that had terrorized warriors for 2 centuries. His hand rested gently on the Fenrock's massive head, and the creature showed no desire to pull away. Its golden eyes, once filled with rage, now held something softer, something almost like peace. Princess Velaria pushed through her guards and stormed down to the arena floor. Her face was twisted with anger and confusion. This was not supposed to happen. This was not how the trial worked. "This proves nothing," she shouted as she approached. "You did not defeat it. You did not make it submit through strength." Tejo looked up at her calmly. "You asked me to make it yield. You did not specify how. That is not the point. The trial is about proving worth through combat, through dominance." "The trial is about making the Fenrock yield," Commander Roktan said. He had followed the princess onto the arena floor and now stood between her and Tejo. Those were the exact words. "The human has fulfilled the terms." Velaria spun to face him. "You dare contradict me?" "I state the facts, princess. The terms were clear. The Fenrock has yielded. How it happened does not change that truth." The crowd was still buzzing with excitement. Camera drones flew overhead, broadcasting every moment to billions of viewers across the galaxy. This was the most watched event in decades, and everyone had seen the same thing. A human, unarmed and alone, had done what 17 armed warriors could not. An elderly alien descended from the council viewing box. He was a keeper, one of the ancient beings who maintained the laws and traditions of the Galactic Union. His gray skin was wrinkled with age, and he walked with a slow dignity that commanded respect. "I have witnessed something remarkable today," the keeper said. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the silent arena. "In 400 years, no challenger has ever made the Alpha Fenrock yield. Many tried through force. All failed. This human tried through compassion, and he succeeded." He turned to face Velaria. "Princess, I understand your frustration. This is not the outcome you expected. But the law is clear. The terms of the challenge have been met. Humanity keeps its seat on the Galactic Council." Velaria's hands clenched into fists. "This is wrong. He cheated." "How?" the keeper asked gently. "He used no weapons. He employed no tricks. He simply showed kindness to a creature that had known only cruelty. If that is cheating, then perhaps our definition of honor needs to change." The princess had no answer. She stood there, surrounded by thousands of witnesses, faced with a truth she could not deny. The Fenrock moved. It stood up slowly, its massive body rising beside Tae-ho. For a moment, everyone tensed, expecting violence, but the beast simply shook its great head and pressed closer to the human, like a dog seeking comfort from its owner. No, Tae-ho thought, not an owner, a friend. There is tradition, Roktan said, that the victor of the trial of Korash may claim a prize, anything within reason. Tae-ho nodded. He had known about this. He had planned for it. I want only one thing, he said. I want this creature's freedom. The arena fell silent again. Even the keeper looked surprised. Freedom? Velaria asked. What do you mean? I mean no more cage, no more trials, no more warriors trying to break it. Tae-ho stroked the Fenrock's fur gently. This being has suffered enough. It deserves to live the rest of its life in peace. That is not possible. The Fenrock is a valuable asset. It has been used in trials for centuries. And it has been tortured for centuries, kept in a cage too small for its body, forced to fight again and again. That ends now. Velaria shook her head. You cannot simply release a creature like this. It would be dangerous. I am not asking you to release it into the wild. I am asking you to give it to me. Tae-ho looked at the princess directly. Earth has wildlife reserves, vast territories where animals can live freely. I will take it there. I will care for it. I will give it the life it should have had. You would do this? For a beast? I would do this for any creature that has suffered. That is what humans do. We heal. We protect. We care for those who cannot care for themselves. The keeper stepped forward. It is an unusual request, but not unreasonable. Princess, the choice is yours. Will you honor the tradition? All eyes turned to Velaria. The cameras recorded her every expression. Billions of beings across the galaxy watched and waited. She looked at Tae-ho. She looked at the Fenrock, now calm and gentle beside him. She thought about everything she had been taught, everything she had believed. Strength matters. Weakness deserves contempt. Kindness is for fools. But this fool had just done something no Sithran warrior had ever accomplished. Fine, she said through clenched teeth. Take the beast. It is yours. Tae-ho bowed his head slightly. Thank you, princess. Do not thank me. You have won nothing. You have simply proven that humans are too soft to fight properly. Perhaps. Tae-ho smiled gently. Or perhaps we have simply found a better way. He began to walk toward the arena exit, and the Fenrock followed him. The great beast that had killed 17 warriors now padded along beside a small human like a loyal companion. It was a sight that no one who saw it would ever forget. As they passed through the doors, Velaria called out, Human, wait. Tae-ho stopped and turned. The princess looked at him with an expression he could not read. Anger, yes, but something else, too, something she was fighting against. Come to my quarters tonight, she said. After the celebrations, I have questions. Questions about what? About everything. She paused, then added more quietly, about how you did what you did. Tae-ho nodded. I will be there. He walked away, the Fenrock by his side. Behind him, the arena buzzed with conversation and debate. History had been made today, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. In her viewing box, an aide approached Velaria. Princess, the Council wishes to speak with you about the trade agreements. Velaria did not respond. She was staring at the empty arena floor, at the spot where a human had knelt and changed everything. Princess? Cancel my meetings, she said quietly. All of them. I need time to think. She walked away, leaving her confused guards and advisors behind. Tonight, she would speak with the human. Tonight, she would ask questions she had never allowed herself to ask before. And tonight, without knowing it, her transformation would begin. The princess's quarters were large and cold. The walls were decorated with weapons from conquered worlds. Armor stands displayed the battle gear of defeated enemies. Everything in the room spoke of violence and victory. Tai-Ho entered alone. Velaria stood by a large window that looked out at the stars. She did not turn when he came in. "You wanted to see me," he said. "I want to understand." Her voice was flat, controlled. "What you did in that arena should not have been possible. The Fenrock has killed beings twice your size. Beings with weapons and armor and training. You had nothing." "I had patience." Patience. She finally turned to face him. Her silver hair was loose now, falling around her shoulders. Without her armor, she looked smaller, almost vulnerable. "You keep saying that word like it explains everything. It explains nothing." Tai-Ho walked further into the room. "May I sit?" She gestured to a chair. He sat down, calm and relaxed, as if he were visiting a friend. "Tell me," Velaria said, "how did you know the beast would not kill you?" "I did not know. I hoped." "You risked your life on hope?" "I risk my life on the belief that every creature wants connection, even the ones that have been hurt. Especially those." He looked at her steadily. "The Fenrock was not evil. It was traumatized. For 200 years, every being it encountered tried to hurt it. Of course it fought back. Fighting was survival. And you changed that in one night?" "I did not change it. I showed it something different. I showed it that not everyone wanted to cause pain. That was enough to plant a seed. In the arena, that seed grew." Velaria shook her head. "This makes no sense to me. In Scytheran culture, we are taught that mercy is weakness, that compassion leads to defeat. You showed both, and you won. Perhaps your culture is wrong." The words hung in the air. On any other day, from any other being, they would have been an insult. But tonight, Velaria did not feel anger. She felt tired. "Sit down," Tai-Ho said gently. "You have been standing all day, watching, thinking, being watched yourself. Sit and rest." She hesitated, then sank into a chair across from him. It was the first time in years that anyone had told her to rest, and the first time in longer that she had listened. "I was raised by my father," she said slowly. "The Emperor. He believed that only the strongest deserved to rule. He tested me constantly. Combat training from the age of 4, survival tests, trials. Every failure was punished, every weakness was mocked." "That sounds difficult." "It was necessary. Or so I believed." She looked at her hands. "I learned to hide my emotions, to crush my doubts, to see gentleness as a flaw. And now you come along, a human with no weapons and no training, and you accomplish what generations of Scytheran warriors could not. Does that bother you?" "It terrifies me." The admission came out before she could stop it. If kindness can achieve what violence cannot, then what has my entire life been for? What have all the battles and conquests and sacrifices meant? Tai-Ho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "On my planet, there are wolves. They are pack animals, social creatures that depend on each other. When a wolf is injured, the pack protects it. When one dies, the others mourn. They are predators, yes, but they are also family. What is your point?" "My point is that strength and compassion are not opposites. The strongest wolf is often the one that cares for its pack, not the one that attacks everything it sees." He leaned forward. "Your people have built an empire through conquest. But empires built on fear eventually crumble. The truly lasting civilizations are built on trust." Velaria stared at him. "You believe this?" "I have seen it. time and again. The animals that recover fastest at our sanctuary are the ones given love, not the ones given punishment. The nations on Earth that have prospered longest are the ones that learn to cooperate, not dominate. But surely there are times when force is necessary. Of course. Sometimes you must fight to protect the innocent. Sometimes violence is the only answer. But it should be the last answer, not the first. He paused. Your Fenrock was not unconquerable because it was strong. It was unconquerable because everyone approached it the wrong way. They saw a monster and tried to break it. I saw a wounded animal and tried to heal it. Silence fell between them. Outside the window, stars drifted slowly past. There was a soft sound at the door. They both turned to see the Fenrock padding into the room. It had been resting in a temporary enclosure, but it had followed Tae-Ho's scent. Now it walked past Velaria's weapons and armor without interest and lay down at Tae-Ho's feet. Velaria stared at the beast. It follows you everywhere now. It trusts me. How can it trust so quickly, after everything that was done to it? Because living things want to trust. They want connection and belonging. Even after terrible pain, that desire remains. It just needs the right opportunity to emerge. Velaria looked at the Fenrock for a long moment. Then, slowly, she stood and walked toward it. The beast raised its head, watching her with its golden eyes. There was wariness there, but not the hatred of before. "May I touch it?" she asked quietly. Tae-Ho nodded. "Move slowly. Keep your hand low, palm up. Let it come to you." She knelt down, extending her hand just as she had seen Tae-Ho do in the arena. Her heart was beating fast. This creature had killed some of her friends. She had watched it tear warriors apart, but she had also watched it submit to a kind word and a gentle touch. The Fenrock sniffed her hand. It studied her with ancient eyes that had seen 2 centuries of suffering. It should have hated her. Her people had kept it prisoner. Her warriors had tried to break it, but it did not hate her. It simply looked at her, curious and cautious. And then, slowly, it lowered its head and allowed her to touch its fur. Velaria gasped. The fur was soft, softer than she expected. Underneath, she could feel the scars of countless wounds. So much pain recorded on its body forever. "You see," Tae-Ho said softly, "it is capable of forgiveness, even after everything. It just needed someone to give it a chance." Tears formed in Velaria's eyes. She did not know why. She never cried. Scythran princesses did not cry. But she cried now. "Teach me," she whispered. "I do not know how to be anything other than what I was raised to be. But I want to learn. Please, teach me." Tae-Ho smiled, a warm and genuine smile. "That is all I ever wanted to hear. That is the first step. Wanting to change." He reached out and placed his hand beside hers on the Fenrock's fur. Human and Scythran, touching the same creature, connected by the same moment. "We will learn together," he said. "All 3 of us." Outside, the stars continued their endless journey through the darkness. But inside this room, something new was beginning. A friendship that would change the galaxy. 3 months had passed since the trial of Korash. In that time, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The great assembly hall of the Galactic Council was filled once again. Beings from every corner of the known universe had gathered for this moment. But this time, they had not come to watch a battle. They had come to witness something far more rare, a transformation. Princess Velaria stood at the central platform. She wore simple clothes, not armor. Her crown was absent. Her silver hair was tied back in a practical style that Tae-Ho had shown her. She looked different from the cold, proud warrior who had mocked humanity 3 months ago. She looked almost human. Beside her stood Tae-Ho, calm and patient as always. And beside him lay the great beast that had started everything. But the beast had a name now. Tae-ho had named it Pyonghwa, the Korean word for peace. The former terror of the arena now wore a gentle expression, its golden eyes watching the gathered beings with curiosity instead of rage. "I have asked to address this council," Velaria began. Her voice was strong but humble, not as the heir to the Scythran Empire, not as a warrior or a princess, but as a being who has learned something important. The hall was silent. Everyone remembered her challenge to the human. Everyone had seen what happened in the arena. Now they waited to hear what would come next. 3 months ago, I believed that strength was the only measure of worth. I believed that kindness was weakness and mercy was failure. I was taught these things from childhood. They were the foundation of my entire world. She paused. I was wrong. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A Scythran princess admitting error was almost unheard of. This human, Velaria continued, gesturing to Tae-ho, showed me another way. He faced a beast that had killed 17 warriors, and he did not fight. He showed compassion, and he succeeded where all others had failed, not because he was stronger, because he was kinder. She turned to face the full assembly. I have spent these past months learning from him, learning about Earth's approach to animals and to each other, learning about cooperation instead of conquest, and I have come to realize that the Scythran Empire has caused much harm in its long history. Harm to other species, harm to creatures like Pyonghwa, harm even to ourselves. She took a deep breath. Today, I announce reforms. First, all imprisoned creatures in Scythran territory will be evaluated. Those that can be released will be freed. Those that cannot will be given proper care and space. The trial of Korash is ended forever. Applause broke out from many parts of the hall. Others remained silent, unsure what to make of this change. Second, the Scythran Empire will establish exchange programs with Earth. Human teachers, counselors, and wildlife experts will be welcomed in our territory. We have much to learn from a species we once dismissed as weak. More applause, louder this time. Finally, I publicly apologize for my treatment of humanity and of Ambassador Kang Tae-ho. He came to this council seeking peace and understanding. I offered insults and violence. He responded with patience and grace. He is a better representative of his species than I was of mine. She turned to Tae-ho and bowed. Not a small nod, but a full, deep bow of respect, the kind a student gives to a master. Tae-ho bowed back, equally deep. The princess honors me, he said, but the truth is that she has done the hardest work. Changing how we think is harder than any battle. She has shown courage that most warriors never find. The elder keeper who had officiated the trial stepped forward. This is a historic day for the Galactic Union. For centuries, we have measured civilizations by their military power, their conquered territories, their technological advances. Today, we are reminded that there are other measures: compassion, growth, the willingness to change. He looked at Tae-ho. Ambassador Kang, your species has been part of this union for only 50 years. In that time, you have built hospitals on dying worlds, sent teachers to planets that had never known education, fed the hungry and healed the sick. You have proven your worth not through conquest, but through service. The keeper smiled, an expression that transformed his ancient face. I believe the human phrase is actions speak louder than words. Your actions have spoken loudly indeed. The assembly rose in a standing ovation. Humans in the gallery wiped tears from their eyes. Aliens who had once dismissed humanity as weak now looked at them with new respect. After the ceremony, Tae-ho walked with Velaria and Pyonghwa through the ship's nature reserve. It had been built specially for the Fenrock, a large territory with real grass and trees and open sky simulated above. For the first time in 200 years, the creature could run free. They watched as Pyonghua bounded through the grass, chasing small creatures that fled before it. The beast was learning to be an animal again, not a weapon or a prisoner. "Thank you," Velaria said quietly, "for everything." "You did the work," Taiho replied. "I just showed you a different path. You chose to walk it." "It was not easy. Many of my people are angry. My father has not spoken to me since I announced the reforms. Change is always difficult, but it is also necessary. Your empire will be stronger for this, even if it takes time to see it." Velaria watched Pyonghua play. The beast stopped and looked back at them, its golden eyes bright and happy. Then it threw back its head and howled at the artificial sky. It was not a howl of rage or pain. It was a howl of joy, the sound of a creature finally free. "I never heard it make that sound before," Velaria whispered. "I did not know it could. It always could. It just needed a reason to." They stood in comfortable silence for a while. Then Velaria spoke again. "Do humans truly believe that kindness is stronger than force?" Taiho smiled. "We do not believe it, Princess. We have proven it. Again and again throughout our history. Every time we choose cooperation over conflict, we prove it. Every time we help instead of harm, we prove it." He looked at her directly. "And now you have proven it too. You faced your entire culture's expectations and chose a different way. That took more strength than any battle." Velaria felt warmth spread through her chest. It was an unfamiliar feeling, pride that came not from conquest, but from growth. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we keep working, keep teaching, keep learning." Taiho gestured at the vast stars visible through the dome above. "The galaxy is large and there is much suffering in it. Much fear, much anger, much pain. But there is also hope, and every small act of kindness makes that hope a little stronger." Pyonghua bounded back to them and pressed its great head against Taiho's side. He scratched behind its ears, and the beast made a sound of contentment. "You gave it a good name," Velaria said. "Pyonghua. Peace. It earned it. And so did you." She looked at him, confused. "I have a name already. Names can be earned as well as given." He smiled. "In my language, we would call someone who changed as much as you have Yonggi. It means courage." Velaria tested the word. Yonggi. Courage to face yourself, courage to change, courage to hope. Taiho put his hand on her shoulder. "That is what you have shown these past months. True courage." Together they watched Pyonghua run free under the artificial stars. A beast that had known only pain, now learning joy. A princess who had known only conquest, now learning compassion. A human who had risked everything, now seeing his hope fulfilled. The galaxy was vast and full of darkness, but in this small corner, light was growing, and it would spread, slowly but surely, until it reached every star. That was humanity's gift to the universe. Not weapons or armies or conquered worlds, something far more powerful, hope.